behold, a cold open. Joe, I believe you were recently doing the what I would call the COGS equivalent of the Great Hunt, which is to say, you were out searching for enterprise software. Am I correct? Do I get you? Do I hit the mark?
Yeah, but specifically to make my job easier.
Yeah, the Great Hunt.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get the stag for the prince who's coming home from the Saracen lands.
Correct. All that is true. I was looking for like a window management tool because I don't know how people have like 2 monitors and 100 windows and keep all that shit in sync, but like at the end of a workday, my laptop is a nightmare. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try to find something that can like set automatic rules. Like this window will never leave this screen. That sort of shit.
Oh.
Like that was sort of my thinking. And
I once saw someone when I worked at the office do something with their second monitor where they like set it so that like a spreadsheet took up like the left half and like and like their browser took up the right half, and they could like touch them both. And I'm like, wow, I've never discovered how to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a lot of software that does this beyond what Windows does natively. So you know how there's all these fucking websites that like compare software or software reviews, whatever.
There's Tom's Hardware, the one I invented.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. I'm very proud of that site.
I know you're proud of this show, but that's definitely your most successful project.
Uh-huh. This is a dumb joke, but there's a fucking mall that I drive by on the way to my parents' house that has a big furniture store called Tom's Price, and I always, if I'm driving with someone, I point at it, I'm like, I can get anything in there for free.
So I found my way to this software called Divi, which is just setting automatic rules for Windows management, DIVVY. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. The software doesn't fucking matter, because what actually matters is when I was scrolling down the page for it, I found the most amazing review. A lot of software reviews are like kind of boring, like the comments left by people. They're certainly not usually in character.
You generally also don't need to click see more.
Yeah, that's the funny part is like it's the reviews are generally short, but if they're longer, there's a see more thing. When you click see more on this sucker, and there's just and it pushes everything down on the page 100 feet. Tom is going to read this review for this software. Enjoy.
This really is like you found a gem in the dungeon. This is, I mean, I don't want to tip my hand too much, but this is like real outsider art. This is like Henry Darger shit. If you're familiar with him, you should be excited by what I'm about to read. This is by a man named Keith Wilson. Now look. Anyone who knows Diamond Devereaux knows.
He's establishing that he's a character immediately. So that's a good place to do it. Not usually.
Wait, do you think that he's writing from Diamond Devereaux's point of view?
I don't know. Let's read it and discuss.
Okay. At the very least, he's establishing that, like, if you don't know Diamond Devereaux, what the fuck? Okay, so anyone who knows Diamond Devereaux knows that Diamond Devereaux is busy. Ever since the IPO, her calendar looks like a game of Tetris. In fact, if it wasn't for her cappuccino machine and Shaka Khan's I'm Every Woman, she's pretty sure she wouldn't even try to come into this raggedy little office day after day. But honey, she do. She does. And she has for years. And not a soul in here has seen Miss Thing wear the same pair of shoes twice. But she digresses. When the diva was ghosted 3 months ago by her so-called fiancé.
There's so much lore.
It's like, okay, so my thought is, he has invented a black woman.
Yeah,
Like, this is a made-up
yes,
sassy lady.
Yeah, I think that's. I would take the bet on that.
Like let's look at the evidence here. Shaka Khan's "I'm Every Woman," the word "raggedy," "she do," "Miss Thing." These are all signifiers of Black American culture. Come on, he has invented a fake black woman because she's cooler than Keith Wilson, the guy.
Yeah.
Incredible. Anyway, lore. When the diva was ghosted 3 months ago by her so-called fiance, she had just 2 questions. Is it ever appropriate to wear a veil and train to a board meeting? And more importantly, how is she ever going to find time to do the elaborate stalking required of a woman scorned? Now, Joe, remind the class what this text is.
This is a review for a software that manages your windows. Obviously, Diamond's a very busy lady, so I can see why it would be a great fit for her. My issue with it is, if you look at the review next to it, it doesn't say any of that shit.
No, I'm not even done.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
The review next to it makes you think like, wait, so like, have I been supposed to have been talking about Diamond Devereaux this whole time? Is there been like, yo, it's like an improv game where it's just like, we all are collaboratively creating this character Diamond Devereaux, who is the sassy diva who uses enterprise software, and like, the way that we are gonna like interface with this stuff and like figure out what to use is by like what would make Diamond Devereaux sassy diva. Jesus Christ. So, okay, this is very funny.
Keep going, because I have an issue that I need to discuss, but I want you to finish first.
Yeah, this is where he finally actually mentions the software, and it's very funny that the use case for Divi in his review is, how is she going to find the time to stalk her ex-fiance? Enter Divi, a classy control center that made it easy to keep tabs on every dusty and duplicitous social media account that Skinny Jean Gigolo ever created. Bing bang bong! Mama has 3 perfectly placed windows on her desktop, and she needs them. Oh shit, Joe! Oh fuck! Okay, spoiler behind the scenes. There's 2 images I saved because I couldn't get it all in one screen to screen capture it all. So I have 2 windows with the 2 images open, and I got to the end of one and I went to the other, and I was confused because there was missing text. I'm like, no, I know there was overlap. Dude, it's because on my first window I had to scroll down. It's so long. There are suddenly 3 more fucking Christ. Bing bang bong, Mama has 3 perfectly put, and she needs them since her shifty-eyed ex is whining one hussy on Facebook, dining another on the gram, and grinding a third all up on Snapchat. Bong bang bing. There are suddenly 3 more windows, and Queen Muva, that is Queen Muvva, Queen Muva, has donated her wedding dress, ordered a no hard feelings fruit and wine basket, and Googled/purchased opposite of Viagra. No taste, no smell. I love that she's like, I need to drug him with the limp dick.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually Diamond Devereaux kicks ass. I'm anyway.
Can I tell you what my issue is?
Yes, you can.
My issue is, you can't click on Keith Wilson and see all the other shit he's written.
No!
I tried, but they're not set up like that. And I was really hoping it'd be like a Reddit thing where you're like, let's see what this guy's all about. And you get it all in front of you in a nice little list.
Yes. Oh my God. That show, that really is I mean, to go back to the Darcher analog, it's like when he died and they went into his apartment and they found all the fucking like paintings and writing, and they were like, oh my god, we've uncovered one of the most fucked up minds that ever was. It's like, I hope one day we like can go to Keith Wilson's apartment and like read all the fucking like 10,000 page fanfics he has about Diamond Devereaux. Oh man. Anyway, she's looking for Viagra with the opposite of Viagra, no taste, no smell. And finally, bam! With everything on screen under control, she's able to keep her phone in her hand and her eyes on the prize. She just got a DM from the zaddy who invented the Super Soaker. Again, famously a black man. So again, Diamond Devereaux is a fictitious black woman. She has one free hand left, and she is using it to give Divvy a heartfelt thumbs up. You go, Divvy. Mama thinks you slay.
Oh, man. Do you think Keith Wilson is white?
Yeah! Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we take a look at the 4 pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
We got a patron to talk about before we get into the meat of the episode. This is a new patron. He gave us $5. You love when this occurs.
Oh, it's so good.
It means that the secret project is a little bit less out of pocket for us. Out of pocket doesn't mean like the slang. It means like paying money out of our pockets.
Yeah, we can't say the other way.
Yeah, no, you can't say that. That's my new thing. Anytime there's anything that's like slightly like you could read it as like cancelable,
No,
I just
you
go to my wife and I
say
say, "You." Yes, it's very fun. Start doing it at home, folks. You'll like it. Anyway, our new patron is Fretzel. It's like a pretzel, but it's Fretzel. Thank you.
Thank you, Fretzel.
Hell yeah. You can give us money at patreon.com/animesicos. There's no benefits yet, but we might change that. I don't know. We're thinking about it.
A lot of creative people have yelled at us.
And Taylor Moore
and
hit us
others
with
too.
A big cartoon mallet.
Others too. We were chased around the house with a rolling pin. Yeah, so we have some ideas, and we're excited.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about now. Right now, it's time to do another one of our classic segments. You know, the thing about Anime Sickos is that we have a lot of classic segments, and we tend to not do them because we'll do them once or twice and get really hyped, and then we like, now let's cool off and bring it back later. And then we do the classic Anime Sickos move, which is forget. So I'm going to revive the Amber Nickos segment where we talk about the games we've been playing on our Amber Nick. And oopsie Joe, I've encountered a tactical error here, which is that the Amber Nickos segment is no longer applicable because the Amber Nick has been supplanted in its entirety on the Steam Deck. I now hate the Amber Nick. I despise it, and it can offer me nothing, for the Steam Deck is better in every way.
I like it for like 4:3 games, like, you know, that resolution or that aspect ratio rather, but I am enjoying the Steam Deck a lot more than I thought I would. Like, I thought I would use it, how do I put this? I thought the Steam Deck would just be like a thing I sit on the couch with, but like I end up using it for a lot of stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's very useful.
Yeah. Like, the only thing the Amber Nick has going for it, in my opinion, over the Steam Deck, is that it looks like a Game Boy and has a wood grain finish, which is, like, to look at, incredible. Like, I love seeing it.
Oh, I have mine on a little stand, so even if I'm not playing it, I get to experience... You know how The Sims had the room mood, like the room score affects your mood?
Oh,
yeah. It definitely lifted that bar up.
See, okay, that, to me, if you're going to get an Amber Nick these days, you got to get it with the intention that it is an objet d'art. I don't know how to say fucking French. Frasier talks about objets. Object darts. Yeah, it's an object dart. Because
most people just say dart.
I gotta tell you, and then folks, this is I would never say this when the Steam Deck hadn't completely supplanted the Anbernic, because I didn't want to shit talk the Anbernic. And I played a bunch of games on the Anbernic that are like 60-hour games. I played Xenogears.
You wore out the buttons on it.
I wore out the buttons. Also, holding that shit makes your hand hurt. It's got no grip. How are you supposed to hold that shit? I don't know how. It makes my hand hurt when you play it for hours and hours. Steam Deck feels like a dream. Honestly, feels like I love holding that piece of shit. It's so fun. And it can fucking emulate PS2 and GameCube. So, slam dunk. I don't see what the fucking Anbernic could possibly give me.
The Anbernic's like $40.
That's true. Okay, when you put it like
There's
that.
a price point for it. Yeah, it's like... I also... Like... I would take my Anbernic on the train. I would not take my Steam Deck on the train. Because if like someone fucking... If someone takes my shit on the train... Oh no, they took my $40 wood grain Game Boy, which is also completely backed up because I'm a computer genius.
Yeah. Versus if someone stole my Steam Deck, it's like it's basically like someone stole my computer.
Yeah,
I guess it's like okay.
I
fair.
felt like such an asshole taking the Steam Deck out at the airport. Like I really did.
Okay. I disagree there because, well, on one hand, I would never even play the Anbernic on the train, because if I'm on the train, which I never am because I never commute anymore, and I don't really go places on account of the airborne virus. And also on account of, because of the airborne virus, the train doesn't run. They put a train schedule out as a prank to trick you.
It's a fun fake one.
Yeah, it's like a joke newspaper. It's like The Onion. Anyway, at the airport, I think is a different vibe. I played my Steam Deck in the airport and on the airplane last time I took a plane ride, and to me that kicked ass. I loved that. I had no problem.
I think my problem is I need to accept that there's no dignity at the airport.
Yeah, I mean, in my specific case, when I first like worked up the courage to put my book away and instead bring out my Steam Deck, it was because a 50-year-old man sitting behind me, like the opposite chair in the waiting area, had pulled out his phone and was scrolling through Spanish language TikTok at an incredible volume. Yeah. And I'm just like, there's no chance I have the least dignity here. So
time to game on my huge Game Gear. One more thing about the airports. Last time I was there, I couldn't stop thinking about someone who works at a Hudson News, but like they have to fly every day to get to the little stand. That's it. It's been sticking with me.
Working at the airport is like, I know people have to do it.
I know, but
because
but a McDonald's at the airport is like a special type of suffering.
Like, how do you apply for that? Do you drive to O'Hare and be like, I'd like to flip burgers at the worst McDonald's in the city?
Right. And then it turns out, they'll let you because not a lot of people do it.
Well, okay. I shouldn't say it's the worst in the city, because there's the McDonald's on Chicago Avenue that is, it's like on the ley lines of chaos magic.
It's very strange. I don't know what the deal. I posted this, but like Winnie and I had left the cooking class that we took on New Year's Eve, and some guy just drove onto the sidewalk on his SUV, threw on his flashers, and went inside. And then there was like people like crowding around the SUV, and the guy's like, "Man, I want to take this, but I don't want to go to jail." And like, it was just like, what is happening here?
Yeah, that's about normal. And like the funny thing about that is like you go to the Chicago Red Line stop to like go to the Mag Mile where like the high end shopping's at. Like I would go there to go to Uniqlo to get my little fucking
boxy
standard
t-shirts.
Issue white boy clothes. And like, it's not like a shady area. To be clear, it is like the tourist zone. However, somehow just that McDonald's above the fucking train station is like hell world.
There's a gas leak there.
Tom McHenry replied to your post.
Oh my god.
Talking about how he was drawing an anniversary card at the McDonald's. It was not full. He was not taking up valuable real estate. And another patron was so pissed that he was doing this that patron attempted to create a populist uprising to forcibly oust Tom from the place, which I think is very funny.
Like, the idea was that he would get a big enough faction together to go to the manager, and the manager would have to respond to direct democracy and throw Tom out.
I don't even think it was that. I think it was like trying to arm a garrison, like trying to get a militia together to physically eject him. Like, no appeal to authority. Like, we must become authority through our violence.
He hates cartoonists so much.
Well, hey, maybe that guy was fucking like the president of a major corporation, because they all do hate them.
That's true.
Anyway, the Steam Deck. I've been playing video games, Joe, and I've been playing a lot of that classic fucking series, Final Fantasy, which I'm very sort of tickled by as I've been playing through the Final Fantasies in more or less in order. One thing that I've noticed that's very funny, especially when you consider that Final Fantasy is one of gaming's sort of preeminent series in terms of prestige, name recognition, like the hype when a new numbered one comes out, sales, popularity. Like, it's really like one of the top 10 series when you think of video games. It's very funny to see that on one hand, and then also realize that pretty much like none of the games are like good. I mean, like, they're not like they're good. They're like classics. However, every single one of them kind of like doesn't really work, and it's like super janky, and you get like, wow, what a great game. I got what they were going for. Like, you always have to like, I got what they were going for. It didn't really come across, but wow, if it had, that would have been amazing. Great game.
So what's an example of this? Because like when I think of the jank in Final Fantasy games, I think of shit like all of the broken stats in Final Fantasy VI. That's kind of like my go-to. Or, just cumbersome systems that you don't want to deal with, maybe. I don't care about the sphere grid, because the sphere grid isn't interesting.
Yeah, stuff like that where the systems just don't work and are like kind of broken. Like how Final Fantasy VI, I didn't know this. I had to find out this later. Like, it technically has limit breaks. Like, when you are at like 20% health or less, you have a 1 out of 16 chance of getting the ability to do a limit break super move. And I'm like, why would you fucking... Like, that's like, who thought that those were the right numbers?
Tom, I've played that game so many fucking times, and that's never happened. Why would they put that in the game? The conditions for it occurring.
I don't fucking know, dude. Another thing, like Final Fantasy VI, like obviously it's the best one. Like, it's great, but like, and it's great in that like it starts to finally take like the storytelling of the genre like seriously and is ambitious and like succeeds for the most part.
Yeah, by adding a Joker.
Yeah, it has the Joker. But it also, like, the cast is like way too big, so a lot of people don't get a ton of screen time, and also a lot of the characters just suck ass. Like Strago and Realm and Cyan, like these are just and fucking the Yeti, like these are just bad characters to have in your party. So it's like, it feels like I get where you're going for the big cast, but like, could you have made sure all of them were good?
Cyan's special ability is so good. As a kid, it was torture. It's like you hit sword tech and you watch this tiny bar go up for an hour while the rest of your team is getting hit by enemies.
Meanwhile, you could have just picked Sapin and done a fighting game move and done a jillion damage in 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Final Fantasy VII, like, it's the famous one. But it's very funny that the graphics look like utter shit. Everyone's body is fucked up.
They got hoofs. Hands. Everyone's hoofy.
They got hoofs. The materia system is interesting because you can see what they're going for, which is like, it's supposed to be a role-playing game. Yeah, I want to give the player more capability to customize what each character is capable of. Because if you go back to like Final Fantasy IV, you don't have any customization. Everyone has their job. Like Cecil is a Dark Knight / Paladin. Edge is a ninja. Rosa is a white mage, and they can never learn anything outside of that. And there's no customization there. Final Fantasy V, you have all the fucking job classes, but like your customization is sort of hampered in by like you have to pick one of the job classes. Sure, there's a lot to choose from, but you can't make anything that's your own, you know?
You're talking like total customization, like a Dark Souls stat screen where you're just really shaping everything.
And that's what is so interesting about the materia system in Final Fantasy VII, because your fucking stuff's got slots, and it's like, hey, do you want to have an ability or have a spell? Do you want to cast a spell? Well, you just got to slot that spell into your slots, and anyone can do anything. And the problem with that is that the game gives you like 10 fucking party members, but the only thing that differentiates them is what materia they have equipped. So you're just gonna make 3 good materia loadouts and then never switch your party members, because why would you? The only thing that's different is the fucking limit breaks. I don't care.
Everybody needs an enemy skill material with Big Guard.
Yeah, Big Guard, White Wind, that'll do ya. And just like it does the classic fucking Final Fantasy thing where like it'll just like be like, so and so's out of your party now. You can't use them now. You have to use these other guys. And in some games, it's like that's an incentive for you to keep using different characters and make sure you don't stick to the same people, because you know there's going to be a shakeup. Well, actually, what happens is when there's a shakeup, I just transfer all the materia from the person who's gone to the new person, and then new person's back, but they have a different face and clothing now. And it's like, okay, great. And also the story of Final Fantasy VII, I gotta tell you, Joe, the story didn't make any fucking sense. It's so confusing. Like, it's so wild that this is like the big famous game, and like the story is, it's like,
I just want to say it's very funny how much I loved it as a adolescent and early teen, despite not fucking knowing what was going on.
Like, Sephiroth is like the iconic video game villain. And I went into Final Fantasy VII thinking like, I'll definitely know what Sephiroth is talking about and doing most of the time. No. Like, every single one of his lines, I'm like, I don't know what he means. What's his motivation? I don't really know. Maybe it'll become clear later. No.
I thought the part where you do the flashback, though, when he's in your party was so sick.
Oh, yeah, where you do, like, 1 baby damage to the dinosaur, and he's like, let me do my basic attack. 9999. It's like, oh, you're strong.
That's storytelling with numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good shit. I love that. Also, the fact that... Okay, so... a lot of the story revolves around Sephiroth clones. And I thought that was wild. I'm like, you mean there's been... Sephiroth is this iconic villain, but actually there's been like 50 of him, like clone... Like he's like a hive mind of guys? That's really wild. And then, like, as the story goes on, it's like, it doesn't seem like that's true, but they keep saying Sephiroth clones, and they looked it up, and like... turns out that when they say clones, they mean... other test subjects who had the same experiment Sephiroth had done on them, but they didn't take, and they're not as strong as Sephiroth. And man,
that's a bit of a language miss.
That ain't a clone. That's like, Joe, if I had like a really good chicken sandwich, I'm like, wow, that was amazing. And it's at this like new restaurant that like not a lot of people know about. And I tell you, like, Joe, you gotta go to this place and get a chicken sandwich. And then you go and get a chicken sandwich. It would be as though I called you a Tom clone. Anywho, fucking Final Fantasy. Okay. After Final Fantasy VII. So it was good. It was a quintessential example of I got what they were going for. What they were going for was really exciting and new for the time. However, like the actual fighting, the actual like JRPG combat kind of sucks. And the second half of the game is just it's so shaggy. Like after you get past like Midgar and Sephiroth doing shit and like getting to the flashback where you see Cloud's true self, the rest of the game is like there's like Godzilla's around, I guess. You gotta go to a crater, I guess. I don't know.
So this is an honest question because I haven't played 7 in a while. What was the deal with Zack? Zack was the guy Cloud wanted to be?
Yeah, he was like the actual soldier. Spoilers, Cloud who constantly says, I'm a soldier. He's not. He was just some guy. This is another example of how the game is extremely confusing, because I know he was the actual soldier. I don't really know what happened to him or how Cloud thought he was him.
He was experimented with Mako because he's got the weird eyes.
He do have them eyes. I think maybe the Mako made his brain soft and he just sucked up Zack's brain. I don't know. Anywho, then I moved on to Final Fantasy VIII, which you told me to skip. And Joe, I know you still hate this game, but I think
because I really wanted you to skip 8 because the Holy Grail 9 is right there. But you instead, this is why I don't like 8. It's like, on paper, I should fucking love a game where you're a teen at military school where you fight monsters and rank up and get grades.
The child soldier factory.
That should be a slam dunk. That is basically what the Disgaeas are. And that is, of course, the main starting location and the organization that's present throughout the game. And it's not fun.
It is very funny and extremely shocking that this game starts off with hello, your name is Squall and you are a student at the child soldier school where you're learning to be a mercenary, explicitly a mercenary who gets hired to do violence. And I'm I understand anime. I understand storytelling. This is going to turn out to be a sinister organization that I turn against. No, it's
completely neutral.
Not even neutral. It's unambiguously good. Sid, the reoccurring Sid, who always is a great homie in every Final Fantasy game, is hello, I started the child soldier factory to save the world, and it does. And it's oh fuck, thanks Sid. You're like a father to me.
I will have another complaining point. Why I bounced off the game. So Cloud has a gunblade, which is literally looks like a
Squall. Squall has a gunblade.
Oh yeah, sorry, I said the wrong sky word.
Yeah.
Squall has a gunblade, which looks like a big Magnum PI gun that is also a knife, and he has it so when you swing, you can press R1, which causes it to shoot a bullet at the same time, which I looked it up. It doesn't actually shoot bullets. What it does is, expel charges that make the blade vibrate. That sucks.
Okay, I hate the game now. I didn't know that was...
But anyway, that little timing, press R1 during the attack sequence, I love shit like that. No other character has anything like that.
I think they do. I just never got the time.
No,
right.
I don't think so. I think it's only the Squall.
Well, I mean, Squall is really good. He's the best character. Here's another thing: is that they keep talking about how the gunblade is the hardest weapon to use.
It's so funny. Everyone's just wow, you have to have a 300 IQ and 6 fingers to figure this out, and then you
have to have a degree from NASA to work a gunblade.
And you would break your wrist for sure. The way he's holding it, you would break your wrist. And his rival is also the only person that has a gunblade. So, he's the only one who has the 300 IQ.
Yeah. It's so good. Okay, so here's the thing about Final Fantasy VIII. It is another example of this is a franchise that has no games that are good. And by which, when I say good, I mean games where everything clicks.
And these games are big, so there's always going to be some disjointed sections.
Yeah, and in other series, they'll introduce a bunch of new shit and it'll be sort of disjointed, but you'll see what they were going for, and then the sequel is where it all works. Yeah, like Breath of the Wild was great; it's a classic, but it does have a bunch of flaws that especially with time passing, are very easy to see. And so they're making Breath of the Wild 2. Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sure that will be even better and it will hold together even more. Final Fantasy, every single fucking game, they decide to take a wild fucking swing, which is very funny because it ensures that the game never really works. They're always kind of broken. So Final Fantasy VIII, the gameplay system, I think is very similar to Final Fantasy II in that you can tell that the designers are very sort of frustrated by the conventions of the JRPG. and they want to fundamentally change the basic concepts of like what all this is. You know, what is a stat? What is a spell? Like, we just sort of take it as a given that, like, oh, your stats are these numbers and they only go up when you level up, and they make yours, and the spell, you just learn how to do a spell, and you spend MP and you do the spell.
That's it. What you're explaining is like gravity. It's just how it works.
Yes, and they were just like, what if we made a game where there's no gravity? And, like, that's so cool that a big budget, like, prestige series would have this fucking balls to do that. And especially because the whole system in Final Fantasy VIII is also, it's meant to address something that is endemic to all fucking JRPGs, which is, how do we make items matter? Because they fucking don't. Like, it's the only thing that you can do in a JRPG to give the player a little treat is give them an item. And the only item that I'm going to give a fuck about is a stronger weapon, which you can't constantly be giving the player stronger weapons, because then you're only going to use a weapon for like 2 seconds, and then that's going to lose its excitement too, because it's like any strong weapon will find another one later. So the only fucking thing is consumable items, healing items and such, which is stupid, because what you're going to end up doing is just buying a huge stock of them and never thinking about them again.
Think about how much money you save when you have 99 regular potions, and in between battles, you just slam them down everybody's throat 10 at a time.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm doing in Final Fantasy IX. So what they did, which is like, on paper, it's so fucking smart. It's like, what if we made your spells into items? And what if we made your stats only go up when they're equipped with items? And those items could be your spells. And then it's like, oh, that's really smart. And like, how do you get your spells? How do you get the spell as an item? It's like, well, you are going to have the ability to transmute items that you find in the field into spells. And it's like, oh my god, that's so cool. So I'll find something, like an enemy will drop a fin, and then I can transmute that into 20 copies of water, and then I can put that on my attack stat, and it makes me stronger. Holy shit, that's cool. And it is cool, but they didn't fucking test it, I guess, because it's very easy, even without a guide, to get like 100 copies of spells very early on and put them on your HP and attack, and then the game's done.
Well, the only thing you have to do is upgrade everybody's weapon.
I mean, not even. Like, the way that the upgrades work for the weapons is you have to, like, find magazines in the world that are, like, about weapons, and they have little, like, cryptic hints.
You have to read Guns and Ammo to think of a better world.
Yes, you have to read Guns and Ammo to think about what a knife could be. And then, like, it gives you a hint about something you have to do. And I'm too dumb to find them because the 3D models of the fucking magazines in the world are very small. So I missed them all. And even when I did find one, I didn't understand what the cryptic hint was going for. And I didn't care, because I was doing so much fucking damage with my basic attack that I didn't need to give a fuck. And also, Joe, they fucked up limit breaks in this one. Because unlike in Final Fantasy VII, where you have a meter that's going up when you take damage, and if you've taken enough damage, you go blammo, you can do your limit break, you can do a super move. Final Fantasy VIII, when you are under, I think, 25% HP and your HP number is yellow, and your guy is crouching because they're sad.
Their tummy hurts.
Yeah. It's then you are able to have the chance to use your limit break. And I say chance. So it's like, oh, so you're saying that sometimes you won't have the chance to use your limit break. So it's like kind of risky. Like, do I want to keep being at low health for the chance to eventually use my limit break? Or do I want to heal and be safe? Well, they didn't fucking test this game. Because there's the button that you can press to pass your turn to someone else who's ready. And if you just constantly hammer that and are always passing the turn, especially if only one person is ready, the person whose limit break you want to use, you're just passing your turn to yourself, and you can pass your turn to yourself like 15 times in 1 second, and one of those times is eventually going to be like, ba-ding, you can use your limit break now. Great job, you did it. And then you use it, and you do fucking 9,000 damage and kill the boss instantly. And especially Zell, who's the monk, he's a punching guy. He's kind of like the Sabin, where he has like fighting game inputs you got to do, and the stronger ones have very complicated inputs. But what you can do instead is realize that the options for inputs that you get will always have the same two attacks as the first option, and they are always attacks that take 2 button presses to input, and you always know what the next one's going to be because they just cycle between the 2 of them. And so if you have 10 seconds to do inputs, and you know that once you put an input in, the actual animation of it going off does not count against your time limit, what you can do is just know exactly what 2 buttons that you're going to press next time you're able to, and put them in 0.1 second, because it's just boop boop, boop boop. And then you can do something like 40 attacks in one go. And each one of those attacks does 1,000 damage. So yeah, Zell can do 40,000 damage on every single one of his turns easily. Game is never hard because it's so fucking broken.
And the bad person's a witch?
Yeah, that's fair. Like, it's just like, yeah, there's a sorceress. She sucks. And it's like, why? It's like, cause she's, she's just the worst. And that's, honestly, she's the worst. And we gotta kill her. We gotta do violence against women. You can't say that, you know.
So, but does it do the Final Fantasy thing where when you defeat her, there's a more abstract boss behind her?
I mean, it's more like she turns into like a goopier version of herself. And then because she's doing some time shit, and when she dies, there's some weird like time stuff going on where it's unclear what's happening. It's like, is Squall lost in time? But then he's fine. I don't really understand it. The point being, actually, I said that the fucking Final Fantasy VII, the characters didn't make a difference. Man, oh man. What characters you have in your party in 8 really doesn't make a fucking difference. Because
I can't remember anyone. You have the Squall, you have the Quintus.
Yeah, Quistis, who is your MILF teacher who wants to fuck you, but is also the same age as you.
Right. And she's a blue mage.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I remember. I don't remember this punching guy.
Yeah, that's Zell. He is the app that you use to send money to your landlord. There is Selfie. That is the picture you take of yourself. There is Irvine, who is a rootin', tootin', shootin' cowboy. I think that's it.
There's a cowboy.
Yeah, he's rootin' and tootin'.
Huh.
And by God, he's shooting.
Huh.
Yeah, he has an entire subset of ammo types that you can get, and his ammo is only used during his limit break. And I never used his limit break because I didn't have him in my party because I didn't care for him. So I was just constantly collecting different types of ammo for no purpose. Man, that game kind of sucked. It really does suck. Actually, I liked it. I thought it was better than Final Fantasy VII in that they're both so broken that I can't enjoy them as like a working game. But I really enjoyed how Final Fantasy VIII was much more ambitious. But now that I think about it, it fucking sucks. It's really stupid that you're a child soldier in a mercenary school because, like, that only works if there's factions that are going to hire you. And it's just the classic JRPG thing where it's like, this is a king, like, it presents something as a kingdom and then you go visit it. And it's like, when I said kingdom, I meant one town. And when I meant town, I meant 2 blocks. So, like, you finally go to the evil empire of Galbadia. And it's just like a city that's like half a mile wide. And it's like, are there other cities? No. And it's like, when you leave the city, do you see a sprawling empire? No. You see green grass. And it's like, what the fuck? In what sense is their country? Ah!
But you played it so you could move on to 9, which is what life's about.
Yeah, so 9's the one Joe's been going nuts for me about. He's been talking about 9. He's been talking play 9.
My pitch for 9 was you have a lot of modern game design elements that go into it, but you have the classic Final Fantasy feel in terms of like jobs. Like you don't actually change jobs or anything, but each character is so clearly mapped to a classic Final Fantasy job.
Yeah, it's very similar to how it is in Final Fantasy IV, where like someone like Steiner is a knight. He could never not be a knight. But unlike Final Fantasy IV, you do actually get some pretty significant customization of your character because of the fucking ability thing.
Yes, the ability system is pretty good. How it works is whenever you equip a piece of armor. It might have a skill or a spell or something on it. And then it's like if you can grind it out basically. If you get enough ability points, it will now stay with you after you unequip that item.
Yeah, and the like abilities and the passive abilities, at least your active abilities, you always have on hand when you unlock them. You can always do them. They just cost MP, like a spell would, you know. But the passive abilities that like are how you can customize your character. Like they all have like a size basically. Like you have 20 fucking like ability slots,
right?
Yeah?
And you fill it up with gems, right?
Yeah. So like if you want to do counter, which like every time you get hit, you counterattack. Like that's a really fucking good ability. So that's going to take 7 slots. Okay. But like does more damage to zombies, that's only going to take 2 slots because who fucking cares?
It's the same idea behind like the rune system in Soulstone. Like your perks cost X amount of rune and you only have 8 or 9 of it. Same deal.
Yeah. The better the ability, the fewer other abilities you're going to be able to equip along with it. So if you want to have a really powerful set of abilities, you're going to have to be leaving a lot of other things by the wayside. It's interesting. I like it.
And that
it's actually, you know what it does that's really hilarious? Is that because the way that you unlock, or rather you level up an ability so that you remember it forever, even when you take the equipment off, is just by grinding out battles. You know, every battle gives you like ability points in addition to experience points, and you need like 50 ability points to make yourself learn how to do this special slash, which means that whenever I put a new piece of equipment on, I'm like, oh boy, I want to have 30 fights.
Yes.
But because this is like a modern Final Fantasy game that's like really into having a deep, complicated plot and character moments and like actually portraying the story well, like we have big ambitions. We want to like be cinematic. What that means is a lot of the time you're going to be like locked into hour, 2 hour, 3 hours where you're just doing plot shit. And you don't get to fight a random battle, and it's a very unusual feeling in a JRPG. It's not one I've had where I'm just
it's
like,
the other way.
How
usually.
long?
You
How
get
long until? When do I get to have random encounters?
Yeah.
Joe, rewind to Final Fantasy VIII. I said that I actually hate it now. No, I'm back to thinking it's the best one, and here's why. You can get really early on an ability that you can equip that makes random encounters turn off completely for no downside.
It feels like cheating. I know this is like an eat your vegetables thing, which is a fake framing. There's no moralistic stakes here, but there's something about that. I don't know. I have to kind of hate it. Like I have to like regret every step forward I take because it might go and then I have to do a fight.
Yeah. I mean, it's very funny that this genre that we love is like, if you actually look at it rationally, like it sucks ass and isn't fun.
The genre actually is, do you like grinding? And like anything else is immaterial. Like if you enjoy grinding, and I do, like when the situation is right, then yes, it kicks ass. But that's why it bounces off for some people. But back to 9, the other element of it that I really like is that the characters are stylized again, by which I mean they don't seem realistic. So Cloud
had hoofs.
Cloud had hoofs, but in the cutscenes you were like, oh, that's like a guy.
Yeah, they had a better model for him for special occasions.
Yes, Final Fantasy VIII, like they don't even do the hoof thing. Like your Squall is a tall, full-length man. Anybody walking around looks like a rendered PlayStation person.
Yeah.
In 9, people go back to being kind of small, like Final Fantasy VI style.
Yeah, they look like Lego men.
Yeah,
but with like joints.
Yeah, with more detail. And what's really cool is like when the cutscenes happen, like Cloud would look really realistic. When the cutscenes happen in 9, they just look like those stylized guys, but better.
Yeah, the graphics look good as shit. I can't believe this was a PS1 game.
Yeah.
One thing about this fucking game that I love. And by love, I mean it's very stupid, is that it uses the ATB system that they introduced in 4, and they all have been using it since then. Which, if you're not familiar, when time passes in the battle, it's not like Dragon Quest where time doesn't exist until you pick a fucking option out of the menu, and then you do it. Time is constantly passing. And as it does, everybody has a little bar, an active time battle ATB bar that's going up. And it goes up faster if your speed value is up. And when it is full up, only then are you allowed to input a command. And however, did you know? The enemy also has one, and they might be faster than you. So you might have to endure an enemy that attacks 2 or 3 times before you get the chance to attack because they're so much faster than you. That's interesting. That really is a very ambitious and forward-thinking game design mechanic because it's so static to be picking things off a menu. Where's the heart-pumping action? Well, let's introduce an element of real time. Wow, yeah, that's dope. Okay, interesting. It works in some games. It is absurdly not relevant at all in Final Fantasy IX because every single attack takes like 1,000 years of animation to finish. So my fast guy will get his chance to attack, and I'll do my move. And by the time that shit's done, everyone else's bar is full up. And then the second person who goes, by the time they're done, the fucking fast guy who went first, his bar is full up. So I never encounter a situation where we do not have full bars across the board because this is just so the bars keep going up during the unskippable animation. It's so stupid. Like, there are times, many times, it's not even uncommon. There are times when all 4 of my motherfuckers have their bars full, and so I will just put in 4 commands one after the other. Boop, 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 boop. And like, by the time Vivi gets to go, I'm like, am I playing a video game? Like, what's happening here? Like, who's this little guy? I forgot who he was.
So what you're describing is that in addition to waiting for the ATB, there's like a second time value where they wait before they do the action. So you're waiting twice.
I mean, one of the waiting is like everyone has to wait for the other fucking people to finish. And like, it just takes for fucking ever. Because, like, if Vivi is going to cast a spell, first you have to get the animation of the camera zooming in on him and wiggling his little staff around. And then we cut to the enemy that the spell is getting cast on. And if it's a strong spell, which I'm going to use the strong spells show. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a strategic genius. The strong spells have very long animations that take like 5 to 10 seconds. And then it's done. And the next person gets to go. It's like so annoying because like if someone gets KO'd and I want to like use a Phoenix down on them, I have to wait like 10 seconds for it to get to the person who I just put the command in for, and then they use it and then like they come back at 1 health. I'm like, now I gotta heal. I'll put in the heal command. And then like, the heal command's it's not gonna go off for another like 45 seconds, and the fucking guy who I revived dies before I get a chance to heal him.
I feel like they should have made the bars more accurate by showing them in a way that includes the stupid delay after you do the command.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and I wonder if there's a mod for this. I should look that up. That would be interesting. If there's a mod to make it so that when an attack animation is occurring, the bars stop. Because, like, it really is. The animations are so fucking long that you might as well not have the ATB system. And this is another, like, when I say like none of the games are good, this is what I mean for Final Fantasy IX, where like it's great. Like Joe, I admit it. You are right that this is the best one.
That's right.
I'm having a great time. However, I cannot overlook the fact that the battle system is fundamentally broken, and the intentions it was clearly designed with do not happen. Like haste, which is such a valuable spell in every game, because it makes you go faster. It makes your bar fill up more, which makes you attack more often. Attacking more often is the best thing that could happen. In this game, haste is fucking useless. It doesn't matter how fast your bar fills up because you're always going to be waiting. Your bar is always going to be full because you had to wait for the last thing to fucking happen.
So speed doesn't matter as much because it's just like you're going to be on deck anyway.
Yeah. And it's so, it's so stupid because like the whole point of the ATB system is like make speed matter, but then it doesn't. You see what I'm getting at? And the same thing about like how Final Fantasy VIII is like, how do we make items matter? And it's like, oh, we introduced this great system. Like, well, it's actually at the end, it doesn't make items matter because once you have your setup, you're done. Like, why would I? Like, I'm done. Like, I have like my stats are fucking nonsense. I'm wiping everything easily. I don't need to do anything else.
Are you gonna complain about the frog catching person?
Oh, fuck! Joe, good point. Okay.
Yeah, like he's got a point here. I don't like this either.
So, okay. If you aren't familiar with Final Fantasy, you may not be familiar with the character archetype known as the Blue Mage. Now, you may know about Black Mages. They use spells that do damage. White Mages, they do spells that heal and help. Red Mages, they're sort of both. And then there's a Blue Mage. What does a Blue Mage do, I wonder? Well, a Blue Mage is a character that gives you homework and is very confusing. The basic definition is that a blue mage learns their spells from enemies. Now, what is that? How do you learn a spell from an enemy? Well,
you get hit by
standard. Yeah, that's the standard version is you get hit by it. And you're always getting hit by spells from enemies. So you're like, oh, I must always be getting new spells to add to my blue magic
I guarantee you the blue spell you're trying to get, they use very rarely.
Also, like, only some spells, and when I say some, lower the percentage that you have in your mind. Only some spells are blue magic spells. So you'll get hit with a ton of spells. I'm like, did I learn that? And it's like, oh no, idiot. What, you think that's blue magic? I'm like, why wouldn't it be? It's an enemy spell. You said I learned enemy spells and I get hit by them. And it's like, oh, fuck you. And here's the funny thing. A lot of enemy spells that you want to get hit by are like helpful, like healing and guarding spells. Why would you ever get hit by them? You wouldn't. You wouldn't, because the AI that the enemy has literally does not allow them ever to use the spell on you. So how is it going to get hit by you? Well, you're going to have to use another character that has the manipulate command.
So you have to do this for every enemy you encounter.
Yeah. Because you don't fucking... There's no way to know. Like, when I was fucking playing Final Fantasy VII, because you gotta have the blue magic materia. It's so strong.
It's better in that game, though, because it's not stuck to one person. You could, like, get it on one person and hand it off.
Exactly. It's dope. But here's the thing, Joe. I don't understand how it's possible for someone to fill that shit out without the internet. Because, like, you need Big Guard and White Wind to play the game. And Big Guard and White Wind are both attacks that the enemy will never use on you. So you have to use the manipulate command, which doesn't always work. So you're just going to have to be like using it over and over. Like eventually I'll be able to control the enemy and decide what it does. And then you control the enemy and you decide what it does, and it uses White Wind on you. You learned White Wind. Yay. However, how the fuck are you supposed to know? Because this enemy is not like a boss. It's a random encounter enemy. Random encounter battles last like 2 or 3 turns. And there's no chance that this enemy is going to use like a long-term strategic defensive spell like Big Guard in a 2-turn fucking battle on the random encounter. So you're never going to see the enemy use Big Guard and think, oh, maybe that's a blue magic spell that I want. I'm going to get that. You're never going to fucking see it. You have to look it up. The only other way is you're using manipulate on literally every enemy you come across. And this is the other thing. Sometimes enemies only are fucking encounterable on like little spots that don't look different than the rest of the map.
Is that true?
So
I don't remember this.
Oh yeah, because there's ones that are like only well, I guess this doesn't not look it, but like there are beach enemies, like enemies on the beach, and like the beach is a very small section of the world map. But like you got it, there are beach only enemies, and like they have special skills. You got special blue magic skills that you better get, and it's like, why would I go to the beach? Why would I go to the beach? Why would I be on the beach? There's nothing for me there. Why am I just checking? Maybe the beach has different enemy. Who fucking know? It's so bullshit. And you know what's even more bullshit? The Blue Mage Quistis in Final Fantasy VIII, it's such a balm they take pity on the poor soul, which is instead of that bullshit with the enemies having to use the spells on you, you just find key items that, like, use this to teach Quistis Aqua Breath. And I'm like, oh, okay. Great. I did it. So easy. So good. Anyway, Final Fantasy IX. The Blue Mage Queena is this fucking...
She's a tablecloth.
Like, is a big marshmallow. Genderless marshmallow wearing a tablecloth. And their thing is they like eating. And the way they learn blue spells...
They're a lick-a-tongue.
Yeah, it's lick-a-tongue. The way they learn blue magic spells is not by getting hit by them. They have to eat an enemy that knows a blue magic spell. Again, you don't know which spells are considered blue magic. And you don't know which spells enemies are capable of casting. So, there's no fucking way to know which enemies you're supposed to eat. So you just want to eat all of them. And here's the fun thing. The eat command that makes you eat an enemy, that works 100% of the time. There's no die roll. You can rely on it. However, it requires the target to be under 25% of their HP.
Oh, we're playing Pokemon now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. I know. So, like, you don't use your strongest attack and you whittle it down. It's like Pokemon's fun. Like, that's an interesting and fun mechanic in Pokemon. Like, it's one of the reasons Pokemon's so popular. You whittle the guy down, and when there's weak, then you capture him. Great. The difference is that in Pokemon, you can see the enemy's HP. Can't do that in Final Fantasy IX. So would you believe that I fucking killed a master I try to eat 99% of the time? Because I have no clue when they're at 25% health or less.
Is there some item that lets you see their health bar? Probably.
There is a spell called Scan that lets you see their health at the moment you cast it. So you see what they have right now, and then you gotta do math, Joe, to remember how much you've done all told. Or cast it again. Or you don't have the chance to cast it at all, because the game is doing the classic move of having your party members taken from you at random. Like, when it happens, I always want to, like, strangle someone, because you'll have your party and you're like, I like my party, they're great, and then some plot thing will happen and Freya will be like, I'm staying behind, you, like, I'm defending you guys, you go. And I'm like, why would you stay behind? You've been in battles with the whole party, you know how strong we all are as a unit. You don't need to defend me from this common enemy. Like, what are you doing? Don't leave. Why would you leave? It's especially annoying when they take a party member away right after they get a dope new item that has crazy ass new abilities that I want to unlock, and it's like, I can't wait to do some random encounters, and then they're like, I decided that I want to go on vacation, bye bye, and it's like, oh, fuck you.
I think that's what makes Final Fantasy IX so special, is that you get items and you're like, oh, I can't wait to grind now.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Joe, you know, I said a lot of stuff about how the games always make you say, I see what they were going for. Wow, how cool. That was an incredible thing that they designed to have happen that didn't actually happen. Wow, amazing. Now, I got a caveat there, because there's actually one game where I don't feel like that, where with the gameplay at least, it feels like, oh, this is perfect. Like, they've done it. This is what it was always supposed to be. And Joe, would you believe that what I'm referring to is the Final Fantasy VII Remake? It is, in terms of the story, well, it's a remake of Final Fantasy VII, so it's extremely confusing. And it's also like a meta text where it's like, it knows that it's a remake. Yeah, it's not an exact update. Like, it is a retelling with the understanding that the player already knows this story and thinks of it as an iconic text. And it's like playing with that and your expectations as a player of what you know will and must happen. So, There's a lot of meta shit on top of the story, which is already confusing to begin with. Whenever Sephiroth shows up, he's even more confusing than in the original. Because, like, he knows that he's in a remake, but he's being cryptic about it, but I don't know how much he knows he's in a remake, and I certainly don't know what he's doing about it. He just says a lot of shit that makes no sense. However, the gameplay, Joe, it whips ass. Like you see, you play this game and you see what they were trying to do with the ATB all along. Because how it is, it's a fucking action game, plays in real time. And you can switch control of which party member you're playing at any time. They each have, your normal attacks, like Cloud, would you believe he swings the sword around? Tifa, would you believe she punches? And Barrett, you're going to be shocked by this, he shoots his gun hand. And you got your normal attacks. They all also have special, unique abilities. Cloud's is that he can change stance into Sickos stance, where he moves extremely slowly and can't dodge, but does a way more damage. And if you block an attack, you automatically counter. Barrett's special move is he does a super shot that goes boom, 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 and does a ton of damage, but it takes a long time to recharge. Tifa's is that she has a special martial arts attack that gets stronger and stronger if she uses an ability that makes her increase her chi. So you can get to like level 3 of chi, and then your special ability is to do a dope move that kicks ass. It's great. So you're doing your normal moves. Sometimes you use your special unique ability. As you do normal hits, your ATB bar fills up. You have 2 bars that you can have at one time. They obviously go up normally, like as time passes, but every time you do a normal hit, it goes up like extra. So you want to be doing normal hits. And when your fucking party members who are being controlled by the computer do normal hits, that doesn't count. So you are incentivized to constantly be switching characters so that you can gain as much bar as you can. And then, when you have a bar full, you can stop time completely and do a turn-based menu attack. So you do both, Joe. You're doing a action RPG where you're using real-time sword slashes and like avoiding attacks in real life. It's not like when someone casts fire on you, it doesn't just happen. Like you see a bolt of fire shooting towards you and you can get out of the way. Like you can. But also, when you get enough fucking meter, you can just stop time and look at my menu and go, what do I want to do? And you can do abilities, which is like shit that uses your weapon. And this is fucking lifted from Final Fantasy IX, dude, because you get like a bunch of different weapons you can choose from for each character, and all of them have different upgrade trees that like obviously suggest what they're for. Like some of them are for magic, some of them are for being a tank, etc., etc. And all of them have an ability that is on them, And when you have that weapon equipped, you can do that ability, and when you've done it enough times, it sticks with you. So you are incentivized to try out all the weapons because you want to have the big repertoire of abilities, because the abilities are really fucking good. And then also you have your spells, and the spells are the fucking spells from Final Fantasy. You got fire, you got fucking bio, you got cure, you got regen, you got all that fucking shit. You can cast that shit, and you can use the materia to build different fucking like loadouts, and the characters actually are different because the actual like gameplay for them is different. Like Barrett, Tifa, and Cloud are not fucking different in Final Fantasy VII. The only thing that's different about them is their limit breaks, which are very rare, and what materia they have equipped to them. And you can equip any materia to anybody. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, they're different because Barrett walks slower and has a gun and can attack from any range. And it's like, whoa, that's very different. Tifa is very fast and she has to be right up in an enemy's face, which means that it's more likely that she's going to get hit by an enemy attack, which means you constantly got to be healing her. And Cloud can do sort of both. He's an in-betweener. And it feels different to play as them. And it's like, oh, shit. Oh, and then they're different weapons, as I said, like they have different use cases. So like what weapon you have equipped informs like what you want that character to do in battle. So you constantly are, it's like, it's a very brain pleasing type of plate spinning. Cause like you play as Cloud and you get your bars filled up, and I use one ability, then I use another spell, and now he has no bars. So I'm going to switch to fucking Tifa, and I'm going to get her bars filled up, and I'm going to use her abilities, and then I'm going to switch to Barrett, I'm going to fill his bars up and switch and use his abilities. I'm going to switch to Cloud. So like abilities are constantly being pumped out. And the enemies have a stagger meter from Sekiro, which kicks ass. If you are constantly applying pressure to enemies and hitting them with abilities over and over without them having a chance to rest, their stagger meter will go up all the way. And when it hits the max, they will become staggered, and they just sort of have little stars going around their heads, and they just stand there and let you wail on them for a couple of seconds, and all damage is multiplied by 160%, unless you use Tifa's special ability, which, if it is leveled all the way up to Chi level 3, increases that multiplier to 200% damage. And would you believe that you definitely have to have Tifa at Chi level 3, especially when you're in a boss fight, so that when the stagger comes, you fucking own them. It's so good. It's like, oh, this is what the ATB was supposed to do. It was supposed to be like you're constantly juggling these characters and trying to get as many abilities out in as short a time as possible. And like it still feels turn-based. Like, even though it is not, it's like real-time action RPG combat. Like, it feels turn-based because the actual like basic attacks where you're just using a sword slash are so simple. You're just hammering the attack button, and it feels great because the animations are good, and there's weight to the hits, and it feels dope. And then when it gets to be your turn, which is to say, I've done enough basic attacks to get my bar, then you take your turn. And then, I've used my turn up. Cloud has no bar. Now it's Tifa's turn, and you go to Tifa and you fill up her bar. It's like, I cannot get over how good and fun the combat is in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It blew my mind because I didn't really have any interest in it. I only got it because it was on sale, and I loved that shit.
9's better, though.
9's better. The story in Remake is so confusing. And also,
I like that it's steampunk without being steampunk. It's just like everything runs on magic gas.
Mm-hmm.
But
I also
not
like
a
there's
ton
animal
of grass.
people.
Yes, it's the Dragon Ball thing, like the President Dog.
Yes, it is. President Dog. Like, there's just, like Zidane, the main character, has a monkey tail like Goku, and no one ever is like, why do you have a tail, Zidane? It's just like, some people have tails.
Yeah, I mean, Freya is a rat dragoon.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, we mentioned how Quina is a marshmallow with Lickitongue's tongue who wears a tablecloth.
Yeah, and the monk in this game is a guy he doesn't have a head, he's just got dreads.
I haven't gotten him yet.
He's cool.
That's awesome. Oh my god. I like it's good. Here's the deal with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I guess in Japan it's like normal to respond to things with like just a wordless sound, like huh, like stuff like
you sound
that.
like a sound test right now.
Yeah. Maybe that's just part of the language. When you are doing a translation of such a thing into English with full voice acting,
leave the grunts in.
They have to leave. They don't have an option to leave the grunts out because like Cloud has to respond, and there's no animation for him saying words. His response is, However, the frequency this happens with is absolutely brain melting to a native English speaker. It sounds like you're on the moon.
Can you smash X to make the dialogue faster and thus speed up the grunts?
It just skips to the next line. It doesn't actually make if it like sped up like the playback rate, like listening to a podcast on 2 times
I was thinking Banjo-Kazooie, but yeah.
That'd be fun. No, you can't. And also, they mix the grunts at the same volume as the talking, which again, like, my brain is used to hearing speech in a certain way, and this shit, it makes me feel like I'm having a stroke.
It sounds
also,
like everyone's phlegmy.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird. Also, it's very funny that Cloud and Squall have the exact same character arc, which is, I'm a loner. I don't want to express my feelings. And then like 30 hours in, they're like, I guess I'll express a feeling. And it's like, you child. They really do feel like teenagers in that sense. Oh, actually, this is a problem with the remake. Cloud's hair should never be rendered realistically. It's so fucked, dude. Like, when it's just a big, chunky, single, like, helmet hair, when it's like a Lego piece rendered on the PS1,
3 spikes.
I get that. Yeah, that's like Goku hair. That's stylized. When it's rendered, like, each strand and like, oh, this isn't stylized. This is photorealistic representation of Cloud's hairdo. It makes you want to die, dude.
Because it looks
like,
insane,
it's so
right?
scary.
It looks very dumb. Because
if I saw someone with that hair in real life, I'd puke and pass out.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the hair. I've seen the character designs. Everyone looks like they're cosplaying themselves, if that makes sense.
That is exactly it. Because, like, especially the hair, Cloud's hair, in order to actually recreate that physically with human hair, takes at least an hour.
Yeah.
Probably more. And, like, are we to believe that Cloud is spending hours on hair care? I don't think so. Like, when does he have the time? He's a lot of stuff to do. He's a lot of eco-terrorism to do.
But when it's 3 spikes, you just know he came out of the womb like that. Like, there's nothing to upkeep.
Yeah. And also just like, this is an anime world. This is like a Goku world. People could just have hair like that naturally. And I can tell because it's just a big chunk. And I'm looking at it right now. And that's fine. I mean, everyone's hands are hoofs. So like, I'm filling in a lot of the gaps with my imagination already. Oh, fuck. Actually, Joe, I didn't realize. I got 2 observations to make still about Final Fantasy VII Remake that I almost forgot. One is one of the greatest things any game has ever done, any JRPG has ever done. And the other one is so stupid. Number 1. So you're constantly having your party members taken away in this game. You start out as just Cloud. You get Tifa. You and Tifa do a bunch of missions. You meet Barrett. And you're like, hey, Barrett. And he's like, I don't trust you, Merc. Let's do some eco-terrorism. You do some eco-terrorism. Then, you get separated. Awful. Barrett and Tifa are gone. But you meet Aerith. That's nice. You're with Aerith for a while. You meet Tifa again. It's you, Aerith, and Tifa. Great. Then Barrett comes back and Aerith has to go away. So, like, you're constantly having people taken away and getting them given back. Joe, when you get a character back who you haven't had in your party for 6 hours, their level is the same level as Cloud.
I'm doing the grunting sounds to acknowledge speech. That's very smart. That is a humanist design choice.
It's like when it happened, because as soon as I got Barrett and Tifa taken away, the only thing I could think of was how underleveled they'd be when I got them back, which is why I never swapped party members in the original, because like, well, one, I never would, because what's the point? Because the only thing that makes them different is their materia. So why would I swap? It's just a palette swap at that point.
One of them's a cat,
but also, yeah, one of them is a cat. That's so fucking funny, dude. Because Kate Sith, the cat, who is actually a remote-controlled robot, the game doesn't cover that part of the plot. So he's not, like, in the plot yet. However, when the plate drops on the slums, and there's the big cutscene of destruction, there's, like, all this destruction, all the characters we've seen are reacting to it. It's very emotional. And then we cut to up above, looking down from like a roof on the higher levels, a little cat wearing a crown with big Mickey Mouse glove hands, putting its hands on its head like, oh no, and falling to its kitty knees. And I'm like, if you don't know about Kate Sith, this cutaway is incredibly funny.
Yes, yeah. And then there's this guy.
Yeah, but like, all I could think about was like, oh no, they're going to be so underleveled. Fuck! This is the maddest I've ever been! And they come back and it's like, hello, Cloud. We are at the appropriate level. We have all the upgrade points that you have accrued. You don't have to catch us up. And I'm just like, I don't think you're allowed to do that. Like, was this an option the whole time?
Yeah, like, you're going to get yelled at for doing this. You can't be this nice to people.
Oh my god. Speaking of this shit where like characters just have levels that you don't have any input over. The most fucking infuriating manifestation of this is in Final Fantasy IV, where you meet your final permanent party member, Edge, the ninja. In Final Fantasy IV, the calculation on whether or not you're going to get hit with a back attack And a back attack is when the enemy ambushes you, and they all get turns before you have any turns. And also, because they're attacking your back, you take like twice as much damage. Basically, it's a horrific thing that does a shit ton of damage to you. It probably going to kill some of your party members. You hate when a back attack happens. The calculation for back attack is based on the party's average level. And if it is too low, you will get back attacked way more. Edge joins your party at a crazy low level. He is so underleveled for the area that you are required to get him in. Like, there's no way around it. Like, he is too low. Period. That's not my opinion. So you are going around this difficult dungeon that's very hard, and you're like, a new party member. Great. This will make things easier. No! It makes things way harder because you're constantly getting ambushed. Fuck! Anyway, this shit's so good. And then the second thing about Final Fantasy Remake that's quite stupid is that, so I mentioned how Sephiroth, every time he says words, I don't understand what he's fucking saying. So the final boss is like the manifestation of destiny. This whole time there have been little Grim Reaper guys who, anytime the plot seems like it's going to change, show up and forcibly make the plot do what it was supposed to. Like, there's one part even where Sephiroth kills Barrett with his big sword, and it's like, oh my god, Barrett died. And then the Grim Reaper guys heal Barrett and bring him back to life, because you are not destined to die here, Barrett. The end boss is like the manifestation of destiny, the King Grim Reaper.
It sounds like an anime ending for sure.
It is. And it's kind of a disappointing boss. There are better boss fights in the game. The boss fights are pretty good overall. Pretty interesting and have fun gimmicks. But this one's whatever. It's fine. And you kill Destiny, and you're like, now we can go into an uncertain future, and the next Final Fantasy remake will be able to rewrite the story in dramatic ways, and we don't have to stick to the original story, which gets very shaggy and weird past this part, and we can actually make it good. I don't know if they actually will make it good, but they could. There's freedom to, because they killed Destiny.
They gave themselves an out.
Exactly, and it's very funny. And then after that, you think that's the final boss. No, Sephiroth shows up and says some stuff where I don't understand what he means, and then he fights you. And I don't know why he would fight me at this point, because, like, who am I to him? You know, like, we're not really opposing him in any real way. He's free to do what he will. And also, I'm like, how is he fighting me? At this point in the story, he should be so much stronger than me that I get rinsed effortlessly. So, like, how is this boss fight? How is he letting me fill a bar up? Like, how is he letting me use triple slash on him? Like, I shouldn't even have the opportunity to do this. This doesn't make any sense. And then when you beat him, you get a cutscene where he does the thing where he's like, enough, I will stop toying with you. And then he rinses me effortlessly. I'm like, oh, you had the option to do that all along? And then he says a cryptic thing that he's like, 7 seconds, ... What will you do with it? And then he disappears. And I'm like, what the fuck did you mean about 7 seconds? Like the hardcore band? Do you know about hardcore? And then, so I went online and I looked up, why does Sephiroth fight you at the end? Because I'm like, why would he do that? What's his motivation for fighting me? I don't think that he would do that. Like, doesn't he have something better to do? It seems like it's a waste of his time. Why would he fight me? And I'm thinking, obviously, I've had situations like this where I look up fucking JRPG plot shit that didn't make sense, and someone has a big essay that explains it, and I go, oh, okay. The consensus for why does Sephiroth fight you at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake is Square Enix figured that if you bought Final Fantasy VII video game, that you would want to fight Sephiroth at the end. So they let you do that.
You got to see the guy.
Yeah, that's pretty much, like, plot-wise, nobody has an answer. It's just like, it really doesn't make a lot of sense why he would fight you.
I mean, he's like the most iconic JRPG person of all time. I feel like maybe they were going to not have you fight him, and someone higher up at Square was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Like, I will kill all of you. Like,
do you know do you know how many MMOs have Sephiroth spelled wrong because everyone wants to be him?
Yeah. He's a handsome man, I'll tell you what. His sword, it's cool.
Not practical, I don't think, but it is cool.
I got no clue what he's talking about. Anyway, Joe, one thing that's interesting about this stupid genre, I've been talking on and on and on about it, is that every time I mention a JRPG I'm playing, because I sort of missed this whole genre because I didn't have a PlayStation, which is where they lived for the most of my formative gaming years. Every time I talk about a new JRPG I'm playing, you're like, "Oh yeah, I've memorized the script. Like I know I know the encounter rates for every monster in every area." And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy, Joe, that you have perfect recall of all of this." Because, and I don't mean to be rude here, but like, it's been years since you played a game that had text in it.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Basically, as a kid, I just fucking just devour JRPGs. Now, the other thing I would do all the time, which was, in retrospect, sort of obsessive behaviors, I loved restarting and like trying new builds all the time. So like I became familiar with all these games in a very like mechanic-driven way. I'm starting to think my brain might not be wired maybe the baseline way. But that's kind of my approach to it. So like all of my affectations and like memories with the games are almost all mechanic driven, more so than story stuff. The exception, of course, being Chrono Trigger, because like I played that so many times and the story is awesome. And what's not to like? But like, I don't remember in Final Fantasy VI when the World of Ruin happens. I don't remember why. Like, there's a big statue, sort of like...
Yeah, I think someone, like, trips and moves the statue 1 foot to the left, which is, like, the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, and then it undoes the world. I don't even remember the specifics around why Kefka was bad, other than the fact that he's, like, a crazy murderous guy. Like, I think he was just, like, insane, right?
Yeah, and that's another example of I get what they were going for, which like they try to make 6 this like epic story, and the iconic villain is just like he sucks.
Yeah,
like his motivation is he sucks.
I, in particular, loved playing up into, and this as a kid, like I didn't do this as like an adult. I loved playing up into the raft part in Final Fantasy VI, the part where you fight the reoccurring gag octopus mini boss. I was blown away by that when I was young because the way it splits the party is like, oh no, fuck, he fell off the raft. What? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just went to JRPGs because they had the mechanics I craved, because I didn't know that there was like similar mechanics on PC for me.
You know what it is, Joe? Because it's all been opened for me. I see it so clearly. Because this was something that legitimately, like, I was having a tough time squaring these facts that I know to be true. That, like, I know you were the JRPG fiend, but, like, I can't I cannot imagine you playing a JRPG now. Like, the idea that, like, I would hear you say, like, I'm playing this, 40-hour game that with a long story. I'm just like, no, I don't think you are. Like, how do I square those two things? And hearing that you did the frankly inhuman behavior of playing JRPGs over and over again with different builds. Yeah. So what happened was you were like picking coca leaves off of the tree and like sucking on them.
And giving myself diarrhea.
And then 20 years later, a game called Soulstone Survivors sits you down and says, hello, I have synthesized a crack rock from that leaf that you like so much. Would you want this? And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the last big game I played was... I beat Persona 3. That took me about 120 hours. I think playing through Persona 4, I lost steam because of the Scooby-Doo shit. When I lost that steam on Persona 4, that was like the official slowing down of my JRPG consumption.
Wait, whoa. Have you not played Persona 5?
No, I have. Yeah, it's good. I was very excited about it because it wasn't 4.
Okay, yeah. If you were about to... if I was about to learn that you hadn't played Persona 5 yet, I was gonna go nuts, dude. I know people have soured on it in retrospect. Like, it actually has bad politics and bad writing. I don't care.
So does so much. Have you ever seen a cop show? Like, it doesn't matter. Everything is so awful.
Yeah. My bar for how good the writing and politics have to be in a JRPG is on the fucking ground. Like, I don't care. Like, I've read about, like, essays about, like, the structure is quite poor. And actually, and the arc is very weak. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I get to turn into Joker.
And I wear a cool mask. And the music is good.
Yeah!
Yeah.
It's good. I played it at my in-laws' house while we were making dinner, and I didn't tell them what it was, and they were like, what's this? It's great. It's funky. And I'm like, it's actually the Persona 5 soundtrack. It's a JRPG. And then they kicked me out, and I had to walk home.
Yeah, Persona 5 is very good. What I didn't like about 4 was the vibe. I didn't like the Scooby-Doo bullshit. I didn't really like the characters, particularly.
Yeah, your main bro sucks.
Yeah, I think that's also the issue, is the main bro in 3 is so solid. He's, like, so good that it's just sloppy seconds. Because he's very much made in the image of the other main bro.
Yeah, and the main bro in 5, he's kind of like a knucklehead, but he's like a lovable knucklehead. The bro in 4 is just a shithead.
Yeah.
No knuckles, just shit.
Yeah, he just whatever.
Yeah. Also at 5, their standos, their fucking personas look so much more cool.
Yeah.
The fucking, I forget her name, Queen. Her stando is just a big kick-ass motorcycle. That's so dope.
Yeah.
I love that. Fuck. I will say, though, I played 4 and 5. I put, the requisite 100 hours into each of them. I never understood how fusion worked. I would just, every once in a while, I'd be like, I feel like my persona's weak. And I would go to the fusion zone and basically just cross my fingers that there was an option that was good. Because I had I did not understand the system anywhere close to enough to actually, like, use it with intention. I see people online post, like, their, like, a persona that they, like, trained for that has, like, crazy good abilities and a lot of stats. And I'm like, I don't even know where to start with that shit. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You can beat the game without it.
Yeah, it's funny. I love mechanics and all that stuff. I have no tolerance for doing that, though. It's like, I love crunchy game mechanics. I would rather eat glass than breed Pokemon.
Yeah, yep. I think it's because there's stats that aren't your guy. It's like stats, like you're trying to get stats not to, like, do a cool move. You're trying to get stats, like, trying to find the best fish at the market. And it's like,
and that's just square one, really. Like, you get the best stats to start.
Yeah, it's so lame. I hate that shit. Never gonna do it. Boo. The thing about JRPGs is that they suck ass and aren't fun. Anyway.
It's true.
I can't wait to play a ton more. That's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. This has been a good one. I like this one. Yeah. I hope this becomes a fan favorite. It's a me favorite for sure.
Yeah. I will... You could just point at me and say various Super Nintendo RPG titles, and I'll be like...
Grandia.
Okay. No, I've never played that one.
Whoa! I found the weak spot. Lufia.
Oh, yeah. Which one? 1 or 2? The Forces of Doom.
Let's say 2.
2's cool because it begins with you at the end game. You're the previous heroes that go to fight the last guys and fuck up. That blew my mind. That's a cool storytelling trick.
Super Mario RPG. That's a gimme.
Yeah, okay, so the best squad in that, you're looking at Mario with the lazy shell. Mm-hmm. You're looking at Bowser, I think wearing the lazy shell, and then Peach with the frying pan. That's like your best end game build.
Yo, you're not doing Geno? Geno can upgrade your attack and defense if you do the timing button press right, which isn't hard.
Yeah, it's good, but his other appeal is the Geno disc, which is the instant kill if you time it right, which obviously doesn't work on bosses and shit.
Okay, fair enough. Dope. Whew. Well, anyway. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I've been Joe, an Anime Sicko. I'm thirsty after speaking about these awful games.
Yeah, I've been drinking a Gatorade this whole time. I don't have Gatorade that much. I'm feeling a little under the weather. It's not Rona, I don't think, because I can taste and smell, and the tests are coming up negative, which is nothing, because the tests are make-believe at this point anyway. But my self-medication is I went and got Gatorade, which I only do when I feel sick. Gatorade is, like, so good. I love this stupid shit.
It's a Mitch Hedberg joke, but like why do you have to do sports to drink it? I want it now. I'm thirsty, you know?
All right. I've been Tom and Anime Sicko.
I've been Joe and Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.